Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Absolute Resonance Part 17 based on novel. So let's start. Time flew by quickly in the White Spirit Garden. In the blink of an eye, the final examinations were about to begin. The entire area was swamped by an ocean of people that was steadily growing in size. People from all corners of the Jiangsu province were rushing here to witness the exciting climatic selection. At the foot of White Spirit Mountain was a viewing platform, currently squeezed full of individuals who were trying to get a view. At the forefront of that area was a spacious and lavish pavilion that was built to house the most influential and respected individuals. A short moment later, numerous esteemed individuals from the Jiangsu province made their way towards the pavilion, including Wei Shou of South Wind Academy and Xia Qing'e from the governor's mansion, attracting the attention of everyone around. As the two most influential individuals in the Jiangsu province, they made their way to the middle of the pavilion, where a luxurious reception was prepared for them. Keek. The old dean still looks quite feisty and full of spirit. That's not bad at all, Governor Xia said with a face full of smiles. Dean Wei similarly responded with a meaningless smile. I heard Governor Xia has been rather unsatisfied with South Wind Academy being at the top. Just baseless rumors. Governor Xia shook his head, unwilling to speak any more about this. Immediately changing his tone, he continued, the title of top academy in the Jiangsu province has to be attained with true strength. This is an unchangeable fact. Unless, of course, South Wind Academy falters, then there isn't any other choice, is there? Hearing his provocation, the old dean replied indifferently, to be honest, when my South Wind Academy's prestige was being established, no one had ever heard of you nor East Pool Academy. Governor Xia had taken over the reins of the Jiangsu province in recent years, and the two had constantly been at odds with each other. One point of contention was South Wind Academy and its reputation. To the old dean, South Wind Academy's reputation was no different from his own child. He would never tolerate anyone who dared to harm it. On the other hand, the Xia Kingdom's royal family would often review the performance of their numerous governors. As the old dean led the top academy in the Jiangsu province, he possessed a significant amount of clout during these reviews. With how often the two were at loggerheads, how could he possibly provide any sort of positive comment? This naturally led to Governor Xia being unable to rise any further in the ranks of officials. As time went by, their enmity deepened, and the verbal sparring today was only an expected result. This year was especially important for Governor Xia. If his performance evaluation was still not up to par, then he would most likely be dispatched to a lower-tier county, one significantly weaker than the Jiangsu province. This was also one of the key reasons why Xia Huang wanted to usurp South Wind Academy's position as top academy. They had no other choice. The stark contrast between the icy-cold atmosphere in the center of the pavilion and the surrounding hustle and bustle was jarring. The heads of the Song, Differ, and Bei families were all enjoying the sights and sounds as they chatted gaily. The Golden Dragon Bank's President Liu was also beaming with happiness as he took his place. This final examination was exceptionally important to him as his prized niece would be participating. In another part of the pavilion, Cai Wei and Yang Lingqing had also arrived as House Loulan's representatives. They were very interested in observing how their young lord would perform during this trial. As they were also extremely close compatriots of Jiang Qing'e, they treated Li Luo as if he was a younger sibling. With how handsome he was and that growing sense of gravitas, it only added to his charm. Of course, once in a while, he'd be an absolute pain in the ass, just like any younger sibling. Do you think the young lord will be able to reach the top 10? Cai Wei asked as she gracefully leaned against the chair. She slowly peeled a banana, savoring it with light bites. Any male who witnessed this sensuous scene would undoubtedly feel a fire burning inside. Yang Lingqing's slender, jade-like fingers drummed against the stable. You vixen! Can't you do things less flamboyantly? Well, there's no one else here, Cai Wei said, aggrieved. At the same time, she passed over a slice of cantaloupe from the table. Why don't you have a bite? It will aid your development into maturity. You are truly unrepentant. Give you an inch and you want a mile. Yang Lingqing furiously shouted. Did she think that she could do whatever she wanted since she was so well endowed? Immediately taking revenge, she quickly held Cai Wei down with one hand whilst enthusiastically tickling her with the other. Cai Wei was completely thrown into disarray as she trembled with uncontrollable laughter, unable to struggle free. In the end, she could only beg for forgiveness. "Forgive me. I'm in the wrong. I'm in the wrong, Arf." The pitiful expression on Cai Wei's face was the complete opposite of the usual calm and collected demeanor she maintained when settling the numerous affairs of House Loulan. Yang Lingqing gave a cold snort before finally heading back to her seat. Li Luo should have reached the 7th seal stage, and looking at how things are going, it should be quite difficult to attain a top 10 position. However, if Lu Qing'e is able to attain the top position, South Wind Academy will likely take first place again and obtain 15 extra positions. It is very likely Li Luo will obtain a slot to enter the Astral Sage College. Cai Wei gave a light chuckle. "I personally think that it won't be difficult for the young lord to enter the top 10. Yang Lingqing gave Cai Wei a surprised look, her eyebrows arched. She simply could not understand where Cai Wei's confidence in Li Luo stemmed from. Don't judge him based on how warm and friendly he seems. Entrenched in his bones is a deep sense of pride, coupled with the fact that he is the son of those two and also the fiancé of Qing'e. With his personality, he might not be obsessed with taking the top spot, but I'm afraid he would never be able to accept charity from others. He won't allow himself to have a free ride into the Astral Sage College. Instead, he will struggle for it with all his might," Cai Wei explained. "On the other hand, the most crucial thing is that I feel that our young lord is not such a simple person. He definitely has hidden his abilities very deeply." The last sentence left Yang Lingqing in deep thought. It was true that Li Luo would often give others an unfathomable sort of feeling. He had manifested his resonance a mere month ago, yet what he had achieved was monumental. I hope he can rely on his own capabilities to enter the top 10 and obtain the right to enter the Astral Sage College. The ones that enter the Astral Sage College through allotted quotas tend to be seen differently. Coupled with the fact that he's the young lord of House Loulan and Jiang Qing'e's fiancé, things will become more than awkward for him. Keek. Now that I think about it, Li Luo entering the Astral Sage College might not actually be a good thing. Yang Lingqing polished her spectacles at this point, a look of pity appearing on her face. Cai Wei also gently nodded. She had experienced the trials of Xia City and had a good understanding of the Astral Sage College. At the same time, she was exceptionally clear of how famous Jiang Qing'e truly was. Perhaps saying that she was the center of attention in the college would not be an exaggeration. Li Luo had spent his time till now sequestered in a corner of the Xia Kingdom, the city of South Wind. It was so distant that even the winds would not reach him. Conversely, once he took the initiative to enter the Astral Sage College, he would finally bear and understand the full brunt of Jiang Qing'e's radiance and glory. A weak-willed individual would never be able to survive. As they spoke, the atmosphere in the field seemed to have reached a crescendo. The duo turned to look at the groups of students dispatched by the academies. As they swept through the crowd, they could easily spot the eye-catching Li Luo with a head of silver-grey hair standing in the group from South Wind Academy. The young lord truly is a sight for sore eyes. Dyeing his hair truly did make him look more attractive than before, Cai Wei casually commented. This was met with a snide remark. "PSH, just a himbo." "Shallow," she spat. Despite that, she had to admit that Li Luo truly was blessed with excellent genes passed down from his good-looking parents. No one could pick out any faults with his looks. In front of countless gazes, a figure garbed in a robe that sparkled with starlight appeared atop a high platform. The robe he was wearing was extremely eye-catching, constantly twinkling with silver brilliance. This was the attire worn by the teachers of the Astral Sage College. This esteemed individual was someone dispatched by the Astral Sage College to act as a supervisor for this examination. "Good day, my students from the Qianshu province. I am Mentor Anli, a teacher from the Astral Sage College. Thank you for being here. Without further ado, let me explain how this year's examination rankings will be graded, a point-based system." The teacher from the Astral Sage College looked to be around 30 years old. Someone of his age becoming a teacher in the Astral Sage College only demonstrated his excellent abilities. After which, numerous teachers from the different academies began distributing crystal tiles to each and every student. Li Luo and the rest received one as well. Each of these crystal tiles were about the size of their palms. Atop was inscribed their respective academy crests as well as their names. When the examination begins, all of you here will go through 2 rounds of evaluation tests. How well you fare in these 2 evaluations will determine your basic points. Students are forbidden from mutually assisting each other during these 2 evaluations, but anything after that is fine. Being able to snatch someone else's crystal tiles and basic points will serve as the great divider. Of course, one cannot take their fellow academy mates' tiles and points. Your destination will be in the southwest side of White Spirit Mountain. That location contains the ruins of an ancient city, also known as White Spirit Ruins. When you arrive, you will naturally understand the rules. After he made the announcement, the faces of all the students gradually turned serious, and the air was filled with a palpable tension. After the last rule was explained, Ali glimpsed into the sky briefly before breaking out into a resplendent smile. I've said enough nonsense for now. Under the authority vested in me, I hereby announce the beginning of the college final examinations. The moment these words were spoken, the turbid atmosphere seemed to have boiled to a peak, exploding outwards and enveloping everyone. The final examination had finally begun. As soon as Mentor Anli declared the start of the examinations, trees began to sprout, cracking the ground as they grew into a long corridor. It was pitch black within, and it led into the heart of White Spirit Mountain. Leading the South Wind contingent were Lin Feng and Xu Shan Yu. The 2 waved to their students behind them. Let's go. As they spoke, the students' silhouettes glowed with an assortment of resonant powers. Finally, they all charged into the corridor. At the same time, the other schools were stirring as well. The tension was electric. The silver-robed Mentor Anli from the Astral Sage College walked into the pavilion. Both Governor Shi and the Dean dipped their heads slightly in acknowledgement. Thank you, Mentor Anli. Although Anli was slightly below them in terms of strength and influence, his title as a teacher and representative of the Astral Sage College demanded some respect from them. Besides, Anli was young. Although he was just a Silver Spark teacher, he had the potential to rise to the Gold Gleam rank. Once he was promoted, he would be an influential person within the Xia Kingdom. The Astral Sage College divided their teachers into 3 tiers: Silver Spark, Gold Gleam, and Violet Vibrance. The hard requirement for Silver Spark teachers was to reach the Earth Fiend level, while for Gold Gleam teachers the standard was Heavenly Dipper General. The highest-ranked teachers, Violet Vibrance ones, had to be at the Duke stage. But even in the arcane depths of the Astral Sage College, a violet-robed teacher was a rare sight indeed. Anli bowed back smilingly in response. He then sat down. Many crouching tigers and hidden dragons sleep in the Qianshu province. This year's examinations are especially intense. I wonder if South Wind Academy will continue to hold their lead, or if a dark horse will gallop ahead. His question was one that neither Governor Shi nor the old dean could answer. They could only smile politely in response. They then directed their attention to the crystal wall, which was divided into many separate mirrors. When the time came, the photographic rocks embedded in White Spirit Mountain would stream information to them. At the same time, they would be recording the ranks and points of all the students, updating them in real time. As the students got fired up outside, Li Luo followed the crowd into the tree-enclosed corridor. He realized that the more they advanced, the more forks appeared in their way. It seemed to be separating the crowd up. With each division, more and more were separated, until those around him were mostly strangers. However, Jiao Qing'e was still with him, as well as a few other Southwind students. This continued for a few dozen minutes, before Li Luo and the others finally came to a dead end, marked by a wooden door. In response to their arrival, the gigantic wooden door began to open slowly. Li Luo and Jiao Qing'e shared a look, then they cautiously followed the small party forward. After the last person entered, the wooden door closed and light bloomed within. They saw that they were in an enormous hall, seemingly made completely out of wood, and with a sturdy feel to it. All of them looked about warily, hushed. Li Luo and Jiao Qing'e were off to the side, also looking all around them. They had heard from the Astral Sage college teacher that they would first meet 2 basic challenges to test their foundations. This was probably the first of them. But what sort of test would it be? Just as Li Luo thought this, a sound suddenly came from the side. He looked upwards sharply and saw 2 yawning black holes above. The voices were coming from within. The voices steadily grew louder, and soon enough everyone was on their guard against the 2 holes. Squeak, squeak. Suddenly, 2 streams of black mass gushed out from the holes, the cacophony deafening. It was an unending stream of 4-winged bats. These bats were robust-looking. About the size of a person's face, they had a sinister look to them, sharp teeth and claws as well as red eyes. Without any pause, they swarmed the students below. The students scrambled to bring their resonant power to bear, dealing with the 4-winged bats in all kinds of manners. It was obvious now that they would have to defend against the 4-winged bats for their first test. Li Luo began to channel his resonant power as well. He did not dare to let them get close, and so employed long-range attacks to snipe them out of the air. As the bats continued to grow in number, there was suddenly a shout of alarm from one of the students. They had been slashed across the body by a bat, and their point crystal flickered red. "Don't let the bats hit you, or your basic points will decrease," someone hollered. Some began to panic, having already been hit a few times. Clearly, they would not emerge from this first round with a good score. I see. Getting a feel for the battle, Li Luo fought in close coordination with Jiao Qing'e, fending off the bat attacks from all directions. However, the flock seemed limitless, coming on again and again. Finally, Jiao Qing'e roared in frustration, "I can't take it anymore. I'm too tired." Li Luo's gaze swept the field. He saw a wall of 4-winged bats, with no gap in between. His eyes flashed. He then seized Jiao Qing'e by the hand and dragged him in a retreat to the side. "Don't move, or my resonance art will dissipate," he said, then he called forth his resonant power. A thin veil of flowing light covered their bodies. Under the flowing light, both of their silhouettes began to grow fainter and fainter. "Is this the water shadow art, a mid-grade resonance art?" Jiao Qing'e was amazed. But as the bats swarmed him, he could not help but question, "Brother Luo, this isn't going to help. Shouldn't we cut down the bats?" Li Luo said nothing. He continued to apply his resonant power until both their bodies were glowing in a pool of light. With no response from Li Luo, Jiao Qing'e could only grit his teeth and resist the urge to strike out at the offending bats. But just as he braced himself for the attack, the 4-winged bats suddenly froze as though they had lost their target. Confused, they finally milled around and turned to attack the others. "You?" Jiao Qing'e's eyes were bulging. "You can do that?" He could not believe it. A middle-grade water shadow art could shield them completely? He looked down and saw that he had turned completely invisible. He marveled, "Brother Luo, your water shadow art is sick. It's like an invisibility cloak. Just a simple trick of the eye? It utilizes refraction through water to hide us within the light rays. A small trick. If someone concentrated hard enough, we would be seen," Li Luo said without much pride. "Well, that's still very impressive. I've never seen anyone use the water shadow art so skillfully before," Jiao Qing'e praised. Li Luo smiled in response. What he had glossed over was the fact that ordinary water shadow art users could not use it this well. Only he, with his light resonance imbued within it, could affect it thus. "No need to fight now. Just wait here until it ends," Li Luo said calmly. "Brother Luo, you're not only a handsome face, you're pretty smart behind those pretty looks. The Astral Sage College must be going blind since they didn't extend a special invitation to you." Jiao Qing'e whooped with good cheer. "Ha, please. It's going to be our school soon enough. We're so good, they'll open the door for us. No need to worry now," Li Luo said generously. "Whew, and a big heart under that fine brain too," Jiao Qing'e said. Suddenly, with time to kill, he was intending to butter up his dear brother Luo a little more, when he suddenly spotted a familiar figure being harangued by 4-winged bats. "Brother Luo, that guy looks a little familiar," he said. Li Luo looked over and winced. Who else would it be but Loulan, screaming as he scrambled away from the bats. Him again? Nothing to see here, let's go, Li Luo said dryly. Loulan was a 6th grade wind resonance user and swiftness was his specialty. Although he was yelling desperately, he was still managing to keep abreast of the bats. Something's not right, Brother Luo. That dog is charging over to where we are. Does he know we're here? Jiang Qing'e asked tensely. Li Luo looked. Damn, he was right. What a real pain in the ass. As Loulan neared, his ratty little eyes locked onto them. With a terse voice, he called, Brother Luo, save your brother. Li Luo feigned death. If you don't save me, I'll attract a whole horde of bats to collide with you. Getting no response, Loulan immediately threatened them. Damn it, Loulan, you bastard. Don't you have any morals? Just you wait. Someday, someone will club you over the head when you least expect it. And I can't promise it won't be me. Grumbling, he reached out a hand and seized Loulan by the shoulder. With a flash, he hid him within the light as well. In the direction Loulan had come from, the 4-winged bats froze again and then headed off in another direction. The situation in the hall was as sloppy as a bowl of porridge. All of the students were fighting and dodging as best as they could, but the sheer number of bats soon wore them down. They were riddled with bloody scars from the bats' claws and teeth, and the crystal tiles on their chests glowed with red light each time they were struck. Only a few stronger students had the presence of mind to join forces, and they suffered only minor losses. While everyone was busy fighting the bats, no one noticed that there were 3 twinkling silhouettes off to the side, casually dodging the bats as they chatted about the others. Ha ha, look at that guy, his face was almost torn off. Damn, that was unlucky. His face was savaged. Probably a bad case of psychological trauma in the future. Pity. The 3 watched on with sympathy, and also a little regret that they had forgotten to bring snacks. Munching on melon seeds, Li Luo suddenly shot Loulan a look, frowning. Can you not come so close? It's gross, you know. He was holding Li Luo's hand tightly, and also constantly edging closer. The sour stink of sweat was repulsive. Loulan jabbered, you're a bad guy. What if you throw me away? Of course I have to hold on tightly. Li Luo was speechless. If not for Loulan hiding information about him, he would really have kicked him out. Brother Luo, is this not a perfect performance? I feel like this deserves nothing less than full marks. Jiang Qing'e's smile could not be any more smug. Li Luo nodded. They had avoided all the bat attacks. In terms of points, no one could beat them. The 3 relaxed and watched. After about half an hour, the bats seemed to follow some invisible command and turned away, flocking back to the 2 yawning black holes in the ceiling. Evidently, the first test was over. Many bleeding and battered students slumped to the floor. From above, a crystalline light beamed through, passing through each student. They saw numbers begin to appear on their crystal tiles. Oh! I have a foundation score. 46 points. I've got 50 here. Damn, just 20 for me. A mixture of celebration and sadness rang out through the hall. In the midst of these medley of emotions were a completely devastated Li Luo, Jiang Qing'e, and Loulan. Their crystal tiles showed a score of 0. How is that possible? Jiang Qing'e's jaw dropped. We perfectly evaded the 4-winged bats. Loulan shouted angrily, feeling cheated. Li Luo pondered it for a moment. Could it be that the water shadow art was too good, and even blocked the light? So we were overlooked. Jiang Qing'e froze. Could it be? Was the water shadow art really that strong? It seems like that searching light didn't land on us at all. Loulan agreed after recalling the moment. The 3 looked at each other, still dispirited. Who would have thought that this would be the outcome? They had been eagerly awaiting their full mark distinction, but they had hidden so well that now they were left with zeros. That was too much. I won't accept it. I'm going to complain. This is their mistake. Loulan burst out. Li Luo screwed his face up thoughtfully. If we leave now, we'll be forfeiting the exam entirely. Forget it. 0 be it. In any case, the foundational score is just for skirmishing. And there's one more round, right? Yu Lang calmed down a little at this, subsiding to an angry mutter under his breath. Li Luo dispelled the water shadow art, and the three appeared. Many turned to them at the flash of light, and there were expressions of shock all around to see the 3 zeros. Even the worst besides them had a few pitiful points. That was as bad as it got. No one else had gotten 0. What had these 3 done? Sniggers of laughter soon rang out across the hall. The 3 of them took it stoically. They were done here, so they moved briskly towards the wooden door that had just opened up at the other end of the hall. Damn, they had been laughing hard a few moments ago, and now the tables had been turned on them. Fate was one fickle mistress. As the trio turned to the next stage, there was a commotion at the foot of White Spirit Mountain as well. Because on the huge crystal wall, numbers were jumping, and names appeared one after another. All eyes were on it, and exclamations and gasps could be heard periodically. The numbers jumped on for a while, and then finally stopped. Those at the top had a full score of 100. That was the maximum score of this trial. Unsurprisingly, Lu Qing'e, Shi Huang, and a few others were all ranked at the top. The many pairs of eyes continued scanning the list downwards. Suddenly, someone gasped. At the bottom were 3 strange scores. Even the worst among the students had 1 point, a participation point. 0 meant that they had never even been seen. Therefore, these 3 zeros immediately sent the spectators into an uproar. Especially when they saw the 3 names. Southwind Academy, Li Luo. Wasn't that the young lord of House Loulan? He had quite the reputation within the Qianshu province. How had he fallen down to 0? What was going on? Hey, the 0 wouldn't be the young lord, would it? Cai Wei's cherry lips parted in surprise upon seeing the glaring score. Yang Lingqing frowned. Who else in Southwind Academy is called Li Luo besides him? How could it be 0? Cai Wei did not know whether to laugh or cry. What was happening? Yang Lingqing shrugged. How would I know? But it doesn't matter. These 2 rounds are just for foundational points. The real decider is the elimination match later on. Irritated, Yang Lingqing said, this young lord sure knows how to make others worry. Within the central pavilion, the old dean, Governor Shi, and Mentor Anli were also caught off guard by the 3 zeros. Governor Shi smiled. Old dean, your Southwind students are truly something special. The old teacher frowned as he looked at the 3 names. He felt the beginning of a headache. What on earth were those 3 pinheads doing? They were an embarrassment. Irritated, he ignored the governor's taunts. This was just the first round. It did not matter that much. However, he hoped that the 3 hooligans would cut it out in the next pat. Or did they think he was too old to beat some sense into them? This video will end here.